Hey there, it's Kat Kinsman, Executive Features Editor at Food & Wine, and this fall, we're launching the new Food & Wine Classic in Charleston with our partners at Southern Living and Travel + Leisure, and we want to see you there. Join us September 27th through the 29th to learn from iconic chefs, share a glass with innovative wine experts, and experience Charleston with one-of-a-kind events. Tickets are on sale now at foodandwine.com/Charleston Classic. That's foodandwine.com/Charleston Classic. See you down in Charleston.
You're listening to Heritage Radio Network.
There are a lot of things to love about Palomo Mezcal Artisanal. My friend, Carlos Mendez Blas, makes Palomo Mezcal by cooking his agaves underground, milling those cooked agaves with a horse-pulled stone wheel, fermenting that in open-air wooden barrels, and distilling it in wood-fired copper pot stills, the same way his great-great-grandparents made it more than a century ago. You'll also love it because it tastes like it was made more than a century ago. It tastes like history. So reach back in time and grab a bottle of Palomo Mezcal Artisanal. Great in cocktails, great on its own.
Agave Road Trip. Agave Road Trip.
I am Lou Bank.
I'm Linda Sullivan.
This is Agave Road Trip, the critically acclaimed award-winning podcast that helps drink partners but understand agave spirits, and
rural Mexico.
Okay,
we have had our caffeine. Welcome to Agave Road Trip.
I haven't had any caffeine. Well, does Monster have caffeine in it?
A ton.
Oh, okay. So Linda, I saw a number of posts earlier, like just at the beginning of summer, at the dawn of summer, suggesting that, if you're going to make a margarita, as people are wont to do in the summertime, that it doesn't matter what tequila you use. It pretty much all tastes the same.
Oh, no. Are we going to throw someone under the bus for making that statement?
There'd be a bunch of people. That bus would have to be like a monster bus. Caffeinated monster bus that we just pump. We pump it full of dark matter.
These are not friends of mine, the folks under the bus.
Oh, I was about to say they're friends of mine, but then I wouldn't be driving a bus over them. Anyway, the metaphor's gone off the rails. If a bus can go off the rails. Off the road. There you go. So, Linda, you and I, let me take you back. Almost exactly a month ago. Can we have some little take us back music from you, Roy?
Thanks, Roy.
Okay, so back in June, end of June, we decided to test the theory.
Blind taste test.
Yeah, so let me just run the intro to the test as we spoke it to the guests who agreed to be our guinea pigs. You have all given up your afternoon on, is this a Thursday? On this Thursday in Chicago to taste through 9 margaritas. The purpose of this tasting is to discover, does it matter which tequila is in your margarita? So, what you're going to be tasting this afternoon is 9 different margaritas made the exact same way, using the same ingredients, the same recipe, the same wonderful bartender. Word up for Josephine. The only difference is the tequila. Now, what I have selected are only tequilas that are additive free, so that there's nothing in the tequila that should be making it pop beyond the natural process of converting an agave into a spirit. Number one. Number two, so nothing aged in wood, in order to create as much similarity between them as possible. My premise is that every ingredient and everything you make matters. And so I'm trying to, in essence, disprove my theory by giving you margaritas that are made with different tequilas, where the tequilas might be made at the same distillery even, right? But are bottled and are different brands. So in theory, maybe taste different. and then from different distilleries and different regions, all of them in Jalisco.
I like the side that you chose for your premise because you have got good people on your side of this argument.
I've got, what do you mean?
One of my favorites, Jim Meehan.
Oh, Jim Meehan. You know, I've heard that name. I think maybe even we follow each other on the Facebook. Not the Facebook, the Instagram.
I remember the day Jim Meehan liked my first post.
Seriously?
Oh, yeah.
You're
I died.
that big a Meehaner?
I died. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Well, you know, for our Gringas bartenders may know, before COVID, a number of years ago, Jim was behind a bar called Prairie School that was down just off Randolph in the West Loop.
I don't think I know it.
And
Because it's a bar.
Well, it's not there anymore. It was in partnership with Chicago restaurant folks. But he's brilliant, huge influence in like the modern cocktail world. An excellent author, has, you know, a number of books that talk about working behind the bar, talking about the logistics of making drinks. And one of the things that he says that I cling to all the time is that your cocktail can only be as good as its worst ingredient. And that quote and the concept that he's talking about is don't go grab, you know, the crappy lime juice and put that in your cocktail thinking it won't matter. Don't grab the dustiest bottle, you know, of triple sec on the bottom of the shelf at the liquor store and put it in thinking, oh, it won't matter, right? Because those are all pieces that you're kind of Tetrising together to make the final product. You can't cut corners on one. So I think that applies to your theory about tequila and margarita.
Oh, that's so interesting. And I got to say, I think I just figured it out. You are a Mehaniac.
I'll take it.
So is he local to Chicago?
No, he's from the Pacific Northwest. I think he has, he may live in Oregon. He had a bar there, but they had a fire recently. And I don't know if they're going to open back up. That was in Portland, Oregon.
Okay, we should at some point talk to him and try and get him on the show.
Oh, that'd be great.
Okay. Anyway, so back to the pertinent point. He agrees with me. Well, actually, I'm gonna let me rephrase
Flip
that.
it and reverse it.
We have this. Well, we have a very similar point of view. But, you know, for me, I wasn't even thinking about the other ingredients. I was simply thinking about the tequila.
Right. Well, in this experiment, too, and should we, are we going to shout out our friends at Estrella Negra?
Yeah, so let me go through, what I tried to do for this, we got together a group of 9 people, and, actually, is it 9? Hang on. So
was that on purpose? 9 people and 9 margaritas?
No, that was just symmetry. I was actually thinking more like Supreme Court. So we got the names that they said we should identify them as are Rendy, Kat Evans, Adam, Angelica, John. Oh, wait. That's John Bolger. Linda, that's you.
That's me.
That's you. But you didn't want me to say your last name. And then Greg Volan, and then our pals at Estrella Negra who hosted us. That would be Otto Michel. He's the chef owner of this fine Chicago restaurant, and his bartender Justine Urbicas. Did I say your last name right?
I don't know. I've never
Urbicas?
said her last name.
Justine. Everybody knows her as Justine, right? So that's who was there. Justine made all of those margaritas. She was the only one tasting them and knowing, because this was all blind, knowing exactly what she was tasting.
Right. And there were, of course, some, you know, curveballs in the mix.
Well, come on. I am curveballish, if nothing else.
Curveball-yak.
Curveball.
Oh, nope.
No, maybe not. Okay, so just for the record, the recipe was an ounce of simple, an ounce and a half of
tequila.
Wait, God, this is weird. Oh, simple, an ounce and a half of lime, and an ounce and a half of the spirit to 2 ounces of lemon.
No, that's...
No. Oh, it's an ounce. Okay, it's an ounce of simple, an ounce and a half of the spirit, 2 ounces of lemon. No?
That doesn't sound right. They were made with lime juice. and 2 ounces of it is far too much. So there's maybe a little bit of a fat finger syndrome happening in our notes.
Just for the record, apparently my transcription service is not great. Anyway, we'll put the actual recipe. We'll put the actual recipe on the episode page, but it was classic.
Poor Justine. We're like, there are 8 ounces of lemon juice in the margarita. She's like, you guys.
So when we tasted everybody through this, we had some comments.
Listen, wait. So the point about the build, we'll put it in the notes. The point is we removed all variables, right?
Yeah.
By making all 9 margaritas exactly the same, with the exception of the type of tequila in there.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Exactly. But we didn't actually do it with the exception of, because of the 9 margaritas, 2 were repeats.
Yes.
And I'm not going to say, what was repeated or anything, but in essence, the first margarita and hang on. I got
Notes.
Like it's going to matter to anybody. I think it was the first and the 6th and the 4th and the 9th. Yeah. The first and the 6th were the same and the 4th and the 9th were the same.
Mm-hmm.
And, going through, I'm not going to bore everybody by going through all the detail of the notes, because we had this, I gave everybody a little margarita taste panel sheet to fill out. And so, I asked, here's something I discovered. People drink a lot more than I do. Right. So we asked them, okay, how often do you drink margaritas? Weekly, monthly, too infrequently to track? How often do you drink other cocktails? Weekly, monthly, too infrequently to track? How often do you drink neat spirits? Weekly, monthly, too infrequently to track? It shocked me how many people are drinking on a weekly. I mean, if I put daily there, I wonder what would have come up. But,
I was wondering why there wasn't a daily.
Seriously.
Oops.
There was nobody who drinking neat spirits. Most people had too infrequently to track.
Yeah, that makes sense that was the lowest one.
Yeah, but boy, everybody else was just weekly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, I thought I was getting some casual drinkers.
And
apparently I didn't get any casual drinkers.
Well,
I know.
We'll have to rerun the test, I guess.
And then, it was a mix of people in the industry and people not in the industry, because I wanted, insider to outsider to see if there's any difference.
Yep.
And then I asked them to rank each of the margaritas as one of these 4 categories. I would like to drink it again. I would drink it again if it were free. I wouldn't drink it even if it were free. And I would not drink it even if you paid me.
Wow, that's a lot of hate. The last one.
Well, I just, I wanted to give people an option.
I know.
Okay, so here's the thing that shocked me is 9 people, 9 margaritas, right? Only one person, one time, chose not even if you paid me for any of the margaritas. And then you get, I think, 2 wouldn't drink even if free. And everything else is, almost all of these people chose, I'd like to drink it again. I'd like to drink it again. Almost every single one.
Wow.
I know.
That tells us that it's a very agreeable group of drinkers, or that you didn't choose any tequilas that were super terrible.
Well, but I did.
Or that Justine is an excellent bartender.
I don't want to talk about the brands, but I went from literally bottom shelf cheap, I want to say it was like $18, all the way up to some very high end stuff, right? And it cracked me up that my thought was, oh my God, yeah, these people are just all drunks. I want to drink everything again. I want to drink everything again. And that suggested to me that, I guess I was right then. Or I was wrong.
You were wrong. Yeah, that's what it's showing.
It doesn't matter. Wait, hang on. No, that it doesn't matter what tequila is used.
Right, they're going to drink it no matter what.
They're going to drink it no matter what. Huh. But then, and clearly they would, right? But then I come back to the conversations that we had, right? So let me run this quote that that Beth said.
I am going to agree with the premise that you were trying to disprove. And not that I think that they all taste the same, but that I don't necessarily think that once you add all the stuff, it's worth spending a lot of money on one or the other.
So.
Beth is not a Jim Meehan or...
Right. It doesn't really matter on the money, right? So there's that. But she also said that, that she thought she could taste the difference in every single one, right? And then Adam said, like I'm going to tell you what he said. Hey, Roy, run Adam's quote.
But the biggest difference that I found was maybe the richness of the agave and how it played with the acidity. And then there was some that almost had like a smoky note, but I'm not sure if I was identifying it properly. And then something along the lines of tannins, and it may have been a crushing process or pyrazines or something of that sort that I noticed within there that may be similar to other tequilas. Those were the only differences I found.
So the only differences.
Yeah, but then he found a lot.
Yeah.
Adam outs himself as someone in the beverage industry in that quote.
Yeah, right? I think we all know who Adam is. And then Greg Volan's quote. Can you run that, Roy?
So, I think this has been a really interesting exercise. And the more I've thought about it, I think could be room for both arguments here. That when you have as stripped down a cocktail as we're drinking, where it's just juice and simple sugar in the tequila, you can discern the differences. But in my experience, the trend seems to be to throw so many different things into something and call it a margarita still, whether it's just as simple as a spicy margarita where they're muddling a bunch of chilies in it, or it's something more, whatever, pomegranate or what have you. I think there's a diminishing return in the tequila that's in there the more things you add. But when it's stripped down to this base layer, you absolutely taste them.
That's a really good point.
Yeah. And then John Bolger says this.
It's weird. You think of what you put in a drink based on price point, but price point is a price point for a reason. And I've tasted things at certain price points, and there's certain ones where it's actually a lower price point, but it tastes just as good as the higher end stuff. And I'll sip it. But if I get stuff at a price point that's not so good, whether it's a mezcal or a tequila, then I'll put it in a drink. That's what's driving me a lot of times, based on taste and price point of what I put in a cocktail versus sip.
Well, that's also interesting. He brings in, price point can indicate to us quality.
Suggest.
Yeah, suggest. But what he's bringing up is a great point, because there are other factors in price point too, right? If there's maybe not a middleman, so to speak, or the producer is the owner, some of the things we've talked about on this podcast, you can get something that sips above its price point, or
for sure,
makes a marg above its price point, and John kind of brings that into play.
Yeah. So, the thing that cracked me up about all of this is, to a person, everybody in that tasting, with the exception of one, everybody at that tasting said that, yes, the tequila makes these margaritas taste different. And the one person who disagreed with that was me. That literally, as I was tasting it, I'm like, oh, wait, I can't tell the difference from one to the next. If I really sat down and really thought about it, I might be able to. But frankly, if I'm drinking a margarita, I'm not sitting down and really thinking about it.
Ah, touche.
And that's how I tried to approach it was, how do I normally drink a margarita? I'm going to have a sip. And if literally I had each of those sips out of the same glass, I would have been like, well, that previous sip tasted different. It all tasted the same to me. So my big takeaway actually was, oh no, the tequila doesn't matter.
You took yourself out of the hill that you were dying on.
Yeah, exactly. I did.
Walked off the hill.
I died on it. I died on the hill. I died on that hill. So that shocked me. But then the other thing that shocked me is, okay, so you were in that room, Linda. Mm-hmm. In fact, you were one of the people who said, oh yeah, no, I taste the difference between all of these margaritas, right? Mm-hmm. And yet, four of the margaritas, right? There were two pairs that were duplicates.
Right.
So they couldn't have all tasted different.
Well, yeah, that's true.
And when I started going through, look at this, no repeat. They didn't recognize the repeats on their notes.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Here's one person who got one, but not the other. Here's no repeat. Here's got both of them, recognized both the repeats. Here's somebody who couldn't even be bothered to make notes. I guess that's somebody who drinks a lot.
Look at Margarita number 5, super fruity. No other notes.
That's it, right? That's funny.
That's funny.
I love that. And here's another no repeat. Here's a no repeat. That's it. That's it. So only one person recognized both.
That's really interesting. I mean,
so they say that taste difference.
That's true, but that's also one of the curveballs you threw in. You know,
well, yeah, right.
That people were. It was sort of designed to muss people up.
And yes and no. It was designed to test people up, not mess people up. And what I mean by that is, and this I think is true of most test marketing. Right? It's generally presented in a manner where you think you know what you're supposed to say. And literally by me presenting it as, I think it does matter, taste, I think that influenced people.
Yeah. And the supposition that there are 9, when really there were only, 7?
There were only 7.
Yeah.
And so people did not get, these taste, and just to be clear, right? Like we literally had under each of Margarita number 1, tastes like Margarita number 2, Margarita number 3, and Margarita number 4.
On the survey, you had the opportunity to say, these two taste the same.
Right.
And then realize that they maybe were the same.
Yeah, and yet, here you go, here's Margarita number 1 tastes like Margarita number 3. Well, it didn't. It tasted like Margarita number 6. And right? And so, the numbers, they don't have the numbers, it's so confusing.
Yeah. I would say, so I also liked the quote about, the more stuff that you add to the margarita. Yeah. I can't remember who that was, but the more things you add to it.
That was Greg Volan.
That was Greg. Thank you, Greg. The more things that you add, or the more complex a cocktail is, he was saying the difference in the base spirit, the tequila, matters less because you got more going on. I thought that was pretty insightful, but it also brought to my mind that you've got different styles of cocktail excellence or attention, right? There are cocktail bars. We could name a bunch here in Chicago that, they are leveled up a little bit. They're definitely really curating and zoning in their cocktails so that the flavor notes maybe are more subtle, and they do want everything to shine and have kind of its place. And there are other places that are here's our well tequila and we make margaritas with it. Right? Different approaches. And so I think that can be true, that maybe the more stuff you put in it, the less that one ingredient might shine. But I think it also depends on what you're going for. If you're a higher level cocktail bar, it's really going to matter because you kind of designed it to matter. Does that make sense?
Yes. I want to say and, right? That's the Chicago thing is yes.
That's the improv, rule.
But
wait a minute, that's not the improv rule.
So here's my takeaway is our taste buds are influenced by so many things, like aroma and obviously the things that are the ingredients and all of that.
And in things that we ate and drank earlier that day.
Yeah. But I think also in large part is influenced by our minds. Mm-hmm. When I told people I think this is wrong, everybody wanted to prove that I was right.
Aww.
I wonder what this tasting...
It was a pro-Lou group.
Oh. Well, I did know one of the guys since he was 5 years old. But I wonder... Well, actually, since I was 5 and he was born. But I wonder if we did that same tasting again and I said, I believe they all taste the same, will we have a difference? But what it says to me, right? This is my big takeaway from this. This is my wrap of the episode. You can have your own. But this is my wrap of the episode is If you're a bar and you're going to spend the money on good tequila for a mezcal, you need to like really say, oh, this is amazing. This is why this is great. Oh. And if you're buying tequila to make margaritas at your home in the summer, you should save your very expensive bottles of tequila when they're empty and buy the cheap stuff and pour it into there. So when your friends come over, they're like, oh, well, this is a good margarita. And then it'll taste outstanding to them. That's my big takeaway.
Okay, so the wrap is lose a big fat liar and we'll serve you...
I would never serve a margarita in my home.
No, cheater tequila out of the wrong bottle.
Oh, I might start doing that, actually. Not at tastings, but only in my home.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still, I guess, despite the results of the experiment, I am still...
A me-haniac?
A me-haniac, yeah. I do think it matters. Maybe even just... on account of the integrity. Like I don't want you to be putting a $95, bottle of tequila in your margarita because, well, probably I'm going to want to sip that. But I don't think you grab the Mr. Boston's triple sec out of the bottom dusty shelf. I think that it's going to be a worse margarita. With worse stuff in it.
My little sister lives in Boston. I feel like you just insulted all of Boston.
I mean, I didn't. That's the name of just a crappy triple sec, Mr. Boston.
Mr. Boston, I apologize for Linda's bad attitude. I like you, Mr. Boston.
But the ABV is so low, it's basically just sugar syrup, which you can make at home for like 15 cents.
And I love sugar.
Well, we all do.
Okay, Linda, is there anything else or have we...
Let's wrap it up here, Senor Lou.
Okay. Hey, thanks for joining me on this Agave Road Trip, Linda. Hasta pronto.
See ya.
You've been listening to Agave Road Trip, the critically acclaimed award-winning podcast that helps Gringex bartenders better understand agave spirits, and rural Mexico. We're blessed with sound engineering by Roy Sierra and a theme song performed by Gabriel Oliveira and Marco Ricos. Sign up to become a road tripper and listen to more episodes at agaveroadtrip.com. If you enjoyed this podcast, please let us know. And if you hated it, well, I'm sure you'll let us know that too. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram at Agave Road Trip. Agave Road Trip is a production of 10 Angry Pit Bulls, Inc. Agave Road Trip is powered by Simplecast. Thank you for listening to Heritage Radio Network. Heritage Radio Network is food radio supported by you. For our freshest content, subscribe to our newsletter. To subscribe to the Heritage Radio newsletter, enter your email at the bottom of our website, heritageradionetwork.org. Connect with Heritage Radio Network on Instagram and Twitter at heritage_radio. You can also find Heritage Radio Network at facebook.com/Heritage Radio Network. Heritage Radio Network is a nonprofit organization using the power of educational storytelling about food to build a more equitable, resilient food system. Heritage Radio Network couldn't do that without support from listeners like you. Become a part of the world's most innovative community today. Subscribe to the shows you like, tell your friends, and please join the Heritage Radio Network family by becoming a member. To become a member of the Heritage Radio Network, click on the beating heart of our homepage. Heritage Radio Network can become addictive. Programming you hear on Heritage Radio Network might lead you to eat, drink, and listen to more programming on Heritage Radio Network. If you drink, please do not drink and drive. Drink responsibly, drive responsibly, eat responsibly too, and listen to Heritage Radio Network responsibly. To listen to Heritage Radio Network responsibly, wear protective earbuds. While wearing protective earbuds, do not drive, do not walk either. Sit in a comfortable chair. If that comfortable chair has a hard seat, please remember to stretch every 30 minutes. If you stretch every 30 minutes, please stay within your defined stressing capacity. And consult a doctor who specializes in stretching. If you don't have a doctor, maybe Dr. Ryan Acock, the Cocktail MD, can help you out. Thanks for listening. Agave Road Trip out.